Something I was also thinking about in terms of like the pandemic and coming about out of it, and in terms of fans, because we were initially going to talk about this, and I was thinking about something that's sort of similar, is like there are certain things that the pandemic changed, and then there are certain things that the pandemic didn't change. And like I think that this, and I think this sort of ties into the other things we were talking about too, which is that like fans have always sucked, and now
Hmm.
they've been, I mean, I love fans, I am one, but also like, Bills fans threw dildos onto the field, for crying
Hmm.
out loud. Like, when Russ got popcorn thrown at him, and I think that it's important to separate. I mean, like the John Morant stuff, where it was like awful racism. That's just
Yes.
like that is above and beyond awful. And like I hope that hasn't been happening or won't continue to happen. I do think though, like the popcorn and like the throwing of water bottles, like that doesn't feel, and like the rushing the court, like that feels like, to me, by talking about it so much and making it this huge story and like rewarding it with attention and outrage, like in terms of authenticity, like fans see that and see that as some sort of authentic disruption, like look at this guy, and then like want to go become that guy, and so it just keeps repeating because we're like
We're talking
feeding
about
the
it.
fire
Yeah.
in a way that I think that is something that the pandemic made everyone like desperate for attention, or to like
Yeah.
have something to talk about, or like be a part
Yeah.
of the story. That it's sort of the two sides of that, where you could either self-reflect, or you could just go completely buck wild. And like I don't think the fans are the people who maybe didn't
This
do that
is
self-reflection.
the whole fan discussion is a media concoction, and
Yes.
and the reason it is because I mean we have, and we've been seeing it because people have been sharing videos from the old days, and by the old days I mean like 2018.
Right.
Like there is ample data that shows that the fans have been assholes forever, dating back forever. Like this has gone on for you said, I mean, John Morant's family hearing racist comments, that's been going on forever. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying that in a tone of like his family should accept that or like we should accept that. We shouldn't, but that has been going on forever. And the reason like it feels like there's a crisis and we're at a problem is because we haven't had fans at these sporting events forever. They've
Hmm.
come back, and I think people just forgot that fans are dicks
Well,
in
it's
general.
also,
And I guess like the other point I make is like they're being all of the stuff that's happening was addressed in the moment. Like the Jazz, like all these fans that are acting out have been banned. They've been arrested in some cases. They've been charged. They've been like I don't understand the discussion, the outrage. Fans have to be better. That is certainly true. But I don't know who's on the other side of this that's saying like I actually don't have a problem with like fans acting out or whatever. I
that's why
don't.
it feels like a straw man argument
It
that
is a
everyone
straw
sort of
man, and it's
chalked
not even a
it.
real story, but like we just kind of we spend a lot of time talking about it. And plus, like you said, given certain context, like fans acting out is funny to some people. If a guy's running on the field streaking at a football game and just like waving his shirt around his head, you're sharing. Everyone's sharing that, and talking about how funny this is, and it's hilarious. Like if the guy runs out on the court and touches the backboard in a vacuum and does nothing else and then gets tackled,
And yeah.
and there is no Russell Westbrook popcorn, Ja Morant's family in Utah, Kyrie Irving getting water bottles thrown. If none of that had happened and this guy just randomly on a Tuesday night at a random game and the NBA just goes and touches the backboard, everyone loves it. And they're like, this is so funny. This guy's a hero. This is
Right.
hilarious. Um, so I think that's important to have that context. But at the same time,
I also think that
yeah.
it is, though. First of all, did you see Bradley Beal just absolutely losing it when the
Yeah,
fan
yeah,
walked out? He was laughing so hard, and I was like,
yeah.
that makes me feel so good, because at the end of the day, like it comes down to like, don't be a dick to the players. And if a player thought that was funny, but I think that in something, and I've said this a lot before, but like environment determines so much more about behavior than individual characteristics. Like
Mm,
in those moments, those fans are like, mob mentality is a real thing. Those fans, and I'm not saying that it takes away from individual responsibility. It doesn't. But I think people forget that, like, when you fuel the fire with being like, look at these awful fans, people get it in their heads. They're like, oh, I get attention for this. And then in the
right.
moment, they're like all fired up because everyone's chanting stuff, and
Everyone's
they're
booing. Everyone's
right.
booing Kyrie Irving, and
And
then
they just
Kyrie
like,
Irving's walking off, and you're like,
you're like,
"Uh,
ah! Like,
uh."
and like, if you're a well-adjusted person, you don't do that. But if
Right.
you're sort of in it and you're not, and you're primed to do it anyway, then you do it. And I think that the environmental thing, the reason that this sort of makes me think about what we're talking about, is that like all these guys retiring, like maybe behavior modeling, where it was like wearing masks. If that hadn't become a divisive issue, no one would have had a problem with it. But people had a problem with it. But like once more people started doing it, people were like, okay, I guess I'll wear a mask. Now, like Aaron Rodgers retires, Brad Stevens retired. They're, it's like, oh, maybe I can do this. Or it's like
I like you immediately went to Aaron Rodgers retires, by the way. I like that that's become you just said it like it's happened.
But do you know what I mean? Like these sort of these things that other people start, or like Roy Williams retires and Coach K can be like, oh, well, I won't be the first to do it. So like, I think people are much more simple than a lot of us would like to think.
Yes.
I started wearing, like, I bought a bunch of sweaters because I saw someone on Instagram wearing them. Like, it's not complicated.
As it turns out, we all have monkey brains.
As it turns out, we're all morons.
We're all morons. We're idiots. Every single one of us. Yeah. What a wild day, by the way. We were prepared to talk about the fans, and now like we're talking about it. I'm like, I'm kind of bored by this.
I'm so glad we don't have to. Let's not talk about it anymore. Okay, here's my question to you: who would surprise you the most if they retired?
If they retired, who would surprise me?
Because I feel like Coach K would that have been your answer?
Tate looked pretty sure. Tate, like when Tate told me that
he first said it though.
I was shocked. Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, that's crazy because to me, if you were making a list of guys who were going to die coaching, Coach K would have been at the absolute lock it in number one. I don't care who else you throw out there. That man is never going to stop coaching ever. He's going to be well past, like I don't know. He was going to Joe Paterno it, where he's like 88 years old and he's still
careful.
Yeah, I guess not in that way. I mean, in the way where it's like.
Right.
Where Joe Paterno is running off the field because he's crapping his pants. He's so old. Like he can't, like that happened. That was a thing that happened. I watched it happen. And I thought Kay was going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in that regard, that would certainly shock you. I'm thinking of like coaches, athletes that would be, I mean, obviously like a lot of the young guys retiring would be the answer. Like Luka Doncic retires. Like that's insane. But in terms of like semi-realistic, I've talked myself into like any of these guys could do it. I've talked myself into, I really have. I mean, Andrew Luck, we didn't even mention him. I
know.
That was pre-pandemic. Andrew Luck retired. That he just looks in
2019.
And Andrew Luck is like, I think I'm done here. And everyone's like, well, wait, you haven't won a Super Bowl yet. And he's like, yeah, I won life though.
He's like, yeah, but I have a book club.
I won a ton of money and I have a Stanford degree. So how about you?
What do you think he's up to? We should try to get Andrew Luck on the podcast to talk about retiring.
We're talking about guys retiring early. I mean, this is maybe it's not.
You know who would shock me?
What?
Sean McVay.
Yeah, Sean McVay would be a good one because Sean McVay. I really feel like anybody Sean McVay hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, so that would be shocking. I feel like anybody who's won something for sure is like, if they retired, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
But I also, there's some guys though who haven't, like if Kyle Shanahan, if the coach of the 49ers retired, I wouldn't be surprised because I'd be like, his dad did it. He's clearly not having that much luck. He got kind of sick of it and now he's done. Someone with Sean McVay seems too fired up. Like I could see Kyle Shanahan just like hanging out with his kids. Sean McVay, I don't know what he would do if he didn't have football.
Let's do it this way instead of who would be the most shocking. Let's throw out guys who might just follow in Kay and Roy's footsteps.
Oh, should we predict the future?
Predict the next one, because I think here my mind immediately goes to Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is like, what if I kind of have no sign of retiring per se, but suddenly I just do it one day.
So good. Okay,
what if Pete Carroll retires from the?
Let's call this segment. We are about to be so right. Let's call this segment like telling the future, so that when we are right, because I think if we do enough of them, we'll have these clips that we can go back
to.
The
conversation about Russ and is Russell Wilson happy in Seattle and like that, just like Pete Carroll looks at that and he looks at all these other old guys and he's like, I think I'm done. I think that's enough. I think I want to go chill. I want to move to Hawaii and just chill and play guitar and take my shirt off.
I love it.
That's what I
have one.
Okay.
Dusty Baker. Dusty Baker's going to be like, I'm sick of carrying water for the Astros.
Yep.
I have a renewable energy company. I'm going to go back to California and run that.
In the same vein, maybe Joe Madden is with the Angels.
Yep.
And he won the World Series in 2016 and he's got Ohtani and Trout and can't even make the playoffs. And he's like, yeah, I'm done.
I think I'm over.
I think I'm
Okay.
over this. Okay.
Oh, this is so fun.
What if Saban retired? What if Saban really did like just
Oh my God.
hang it up? He just hangs it up. I mean,
No,
he's
going
old too.
to.
He's old as hell. He's won everything. Like I really am fascinated by. I mean, I guess this is part of why it's shocking that K would retire, because those guys that do win all the time, the Belichick's, the Sabans, the K's. If it was you or I, Charlotte, we would have retired 20 years ago. We would have been like, I've won 3 titles. Like I wanted to win 1. I've won 3. This is insane. Like I'm done. That's it. So for Saban to step, like if Saban was a step away now, it seems insane, because you're like, what's the difference between this one and the last 36 you won? Like they're all the same, right? And that's how I felt about K. It was like, what's changed? It's all the same. But Saban would be crazy if Saban was like, what am I doing? I can't, there's nowhere else to go. There hasn't been anywhere else to go for me for 10 years now. Like, what am I even doing here?
Saban has an existential crisis. Well, because, okay, so here's the thing about these guys, right? They don't seem terribly anxious.
Yeah.
Like, they don't seem like people who spend a lot of time thinking about, like, what makes me happy? What do I feel like they just sort of like, they're like, oh, winning makes me happy. So then they go do that. And if they are wired so completely differently from the rest of us, clearly, it's what you said. Well, then how can they ever have a line? Maybe it's their family. Like maybe their kids start being like, are you kidding me? Like maybe they
look at the kids, look at the grandkids. How old are the kids? How old are the grandkids?
I know exactly how old the grandkids are. Sorry, I mean kids.
I have another name to throw out there. Urban Meyer, after the Jaguars start 0-4 and wants to spend more time with his family.
I just saw that
Tim Tebow can't block or catch a pass at tight end, and Urban's like, what am I doing?
You know who's gonna outlast all of us?
Who's that?
Tim Tebow.
He really is. He's gonna be
the last person to retire from sports. He'll be doing judo by
he's gonna be bouncing around from sport to sport. Oh man.
Well, should we? I mean, I feel like our fan lists aren't even
really relevant now, but we could do them anyway if you want. We could go through them. Why not?
You want to go through
We took the time. Let's just rip through them real quick and we'll wrap this up. So what we did, we set out, because as we said, we were planning the show. We thought, like, what is everybody talking about? They're talking about unruly fans very quickly because of Brad Stevens and Coach K. That became not that interesting of a discussion and whatever. But what we're going to do for lists was, what did we decide? Fun fans we like at our games?
Like fans we can't wait to see at games. Because it's like there's always that guy or like that girl or that lady. Like, let's talk about that fan.
Stop giving attention to the racists and the people that are throwing stuff and the people that are running on the court and touching the backboard. And let's instead focus on the good fans. And what makes a good fan? What makes a stereotypically good fan?
I love this.
So that's the list. So why don't you go first? We'll go through these quickly and
get
the hell out of here.
My number 6 is me. My number 5. I'm a great fan and I love going to sports games. I can't wait to see myself at another sports game. Okay, my number 5 is like the super fan in the elaborate robe or like crown, or somehow they always like at a football or baseball game where they always have like a WWE championship belt somehow, or like a crown. Like I saw this guy at the Chiefs Titans AFC game a few years ago who was in the hotel lobby of where I was staying and had this like massive cape that said like King of the North or something. It didn't make any sense. And like a Viking hat. I mean, like none of this ever makes any sense, but it is clear that they keep this costume in a special box in the attic or in like a special storage unit, and they bring this outfit out and they have spent hours and they add to it every year. I love that fan.
You're talking about the people that go to the NFL fans that go to the Hall of Fame fan exhibition deal. There's something like that they have every year.
There is a fan Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's like a fan and people just sit on Canton. Because I remember when I was at Grantland, I pitched the idea of me, because I lived in Ohio, and I was like, I'll just drive up to Canton and go to this thing. And I forget why we didn't do it. That idea didn't get nixed. It was like a scheduling conflict or something. But I was going to go up there and just like walk around and interview. Have you been there?
No, but we should do that.
We should still do that. Yeah.
That's a People's Sports podcast. Like that is the most Okay,
We
great. So we're
should. We should
going to
get
the
boots
fan
on the
hall thing.
ground and go to the
Yeah.
fan thing and just like interview the people that are wearing makeup in the middle of the summer when there's not even football on and they're just in
Yep.
Canton, Ohio wearing face paint.
And like drove there from
Yeah,
a long way away.
from Minnesota to wear their Viking hat in Canton, Ohio. Does any part of you, because this certainly applies to me. I went on a Spike Lee rant not that long ago. Does any part of you hate that some of these fans make it about themselves too much? The guy that's
Yeah,
like
I
a
the
little
whole
look at
point is
me.
that like you kind of hate all of the fans on your list. Like I'm not like if you're that into it, you're sort of like, oh my god. But it's sort of the like I get excited when I see it because it's like, you know, when you're a kid and you're stopped at this is already weird, but I'm gonna say it. And like if the railroad thing goes down, and it's usually just a normal commuter train, and you're sort of like, oh, still kind of cool. Like I love trains, but then like a freight train goes by that one time, and you're just like, oh my god, it's a freight train. And you're like, it's not objectively even that cool, but like all the cars are
But
different,
it's
and you're
just different.
excited.
It's just different.
That's how I feel about
Yeah. All right.
these fans are the freight trains of the NFL. Why am I like this?
Moving on. My number 5 is the guy who's working on his 4th beer, aka like the happy drunk, we'll call him. That's he's not belligerent yet. He's not trying to fight people, but he's definitely drunk. And he's high-fiving everybody when something on a first down. At first down, he's like, whoa, first down, and he's pointing. He's always got like funny, witty remarks about whatever's going on. He's participating in the chants. Or if you're at an NBA game and the Oregon starts playing, and he'll jump in with the defense, like, because I'm too cool for school. Like when those chants start, when the Oregon starts, dun, 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 I'm not the one that's like clapping with them.
Right.
I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not gonna clap like you're whatever. But this guy is a little drunk. He's getting into it. He's chanting. He's the songs during timeouts. He's dancing with. Maybe he's wearing a funny jersey, like a not necessarily a number 69 jersey, but like he's wearing like an old school player that is a rare find, you know, of the team. And I don't know. I like that guy. That guy's fun to be around at the sporting event. And then he has one too many beers and I hate him.
Yeah.
Has one too many beers. I'm like, all right, get that guy out of my face.
The 4th beer, he's fine. The 5th beer, you're like, absolutely not.
Yeah, he's the 5th beer. He's calling everyone assholes on the other team. Every time someone makes a shot, he's like, "You asshole." It's like, dude, he just made a layup. Like, calm down.
I saw that guy at the Knicks game after probably like 15 beers, and he was just like standing in line trying to get out of the arena, and he just sort of had his head down, and he was like, and his buddy was like, "You gonna be okay?" And he was like, "I don't know." And you're just like, you were fun 10 beers ago. I love that. Okay, my number 4 is the guys with body paint and no shirts on in negative 20-degree weather, because it made me feel so superior. I'm like, what an absolute moron. But then at the same time, you're sort of like, what must it be like to have such little fear?
I'm with you. I'm with the second one. I'm with the latter.
Yeah.
We just got done talking, Charlotte, about the pandemic and reassessing your life and what matters to you and like trying to find things that are important. And I feel like those guys have figured it out. And it's watching the Chicago Bears lose to the Packers at Soldier Field with their chest painted.
Yes.
And you know, like that's happiness to these guys. And they're simple guys, and all they want is just to throw some beers back and paint
get
their
on national
chest
television.
And get on national television with
I'm
their bellies jiggling.
Yeah, seriously.
And that makes them happy.
Yeah. So that's my 4th.
I like it. I like those guys. My number 4 is the successful gambler who is hitting all of his bets. He's on a run. He's like, it's all happening. So my experience with this was the big time I experienced this was Ohio State was playing Kentucky in Vegas a couple years ago. It was right around Christmas time. And I was with Greg Oden at the game, and one of the Ohio State boosters had a suite at the game in Vegas. And because they invited Greg up to the suite, and I was with Greg, so I got to go up to the suite.
Your smartest move was being Greg Oden's friend.
I recommend it to everybody.
I would love to try.
So I'm in the suite with all these rich dudes that love Ohio State, and they have an insane amount of money on. I don't remember what the number was, but I remember hearing it just like, oh my god! And
on the game.
On the game, on the first half over, the second half over, the anything you can imagine. These guys had hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, and they hit everything. And these guys were wild. They were like, it was the most fun I've ever had. Like Ohio State won the game, so I was excited about that. We beat Kentucky, and I'm going crazy about that. But then also all these guys are just high fiving. They're like, we're going out to the clubs, like everybody. And it was the most fun I've ever had as a fan. Watching it was a regular season game in Vegas, and the arena was like half full, maybe. You know, like nothing about it says this should have been a fun game other than like my team won and these guys I was around were they won a shit ton of money and they were super happy. So successful gamblers are fun.
I love that. Oh, that's such a good one. All right, my number 3 is a massive family. You know, where you see them in the concourse and they're just like, it's a mom and a dad and probably the grandparents, and they just have somehow like 30 kids.
Yeah.
And they're all different ages and you have no idea how they're related, but they all look exactly alike. So you know they're related, and they're all wearing, they're only 2 jerseys that they're wearing. It would be like the whole family is in Tom Brady and Gronk uniforms at Gillette, like no deviation except for like the one little kid who has a Vinatieri jersey on.
Or the one little kid's a fan of the other team, the opposing team.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to be like
one little kid in a Colts jersey.
A Colts jersey.
Like,
Peyton
what
Manning.
happened there? Yeah, exactly. But like, I just love because I love imagining the process that it took for them to get out of the house or like meet in the parking lot. Like the logistics, like you bring this, I'll bring that. We'll meet here. They call them when they get there. No one can find each other, but somehow they all end up in that concourse, like 50 people at the same time, just like happy to be there. And for some reason, it's so funny to me.
This is their one family vacation for the year, is just driving 30 minutes down the road to watch the Patriots play in week 6.
Like, and they're all there.
That's it. Yeah, that's our family vacation.
And that's all they want.
That's all they want. That's I keep going back. I think I've referenced this a few times on the show, but my favorite Louis C.K. joke / bit, whatever, is for a father of multiple kids, when you go on vacation, there is no vacation except for the time when you put all the kids in the car and then you shut the door and they walk around the car to get into the driver's seat. That's the vacation. That's what I think about, is like the dad in that situation as you're going through the logistics.
Everyone's contained.
Yeah.
And you're on the outside.
And you're the one time you just get to take a deep breath and be like, all right, now I step in the car and go back to the madness. Yeah. Those are great. That's a great answer. Number 3 for me is grandmas, just grandmas in general, just old ladies. I know some people that maybe listen to my other show that I do say, no, hang on a second, Mark, don't you hate Sister Jean? To which I would say, never hated Sister Jean. One, she's not a grandma. Great point. Not a grandma. Number 2, I hated the coverage of Sister Jean. I didn't hate her. I love the idea of an old lady being at a game. Anytime they panned to San Diego State, I went to a game down there. They got these 2 old women that sit in the student section, and it warms my heart. I know Colorado is another school that had these 2 famous old women who are fans of the Colorado Buffaloes. Like anytime I hear those stories, as long as I don't hear them every single second of every single game, like we were hearing with Sister Jean.
Yeah.
I love grandmas. I love old ladies who know, and they're not just there for novelties. Like they actually know the team. They've actually been following the game. They actually, they're not just there on a night out because their grandson wanted to go to the ballpark. They're like, our bullpen's a disaster.
and they are so mad at the coach always.
Yes. Yeah.
They're like, why did you pull him?
Yes.
Why did you pull him?
Yes.
And they're right.
And they're always right. No matter what, they're right. Every grandma sports fan is right. Absolutely. So.
Okay. My number 2 is the little kid wearing a throwback jersey from before they were born.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
It means that they are like trying so hard to learn and are invested, and like, you know, probably someone in their family or they just want to feel like connected to something bigger than themselves. And they're at that age where they're like starting to learn how to research stuff. Yeah. And they're in like, you know, even if it's like a Larry Bird jersey, they're still like, I know Larry Bird exists and I'm 5, you know.
My dad told me about this guy and I looked him up on YouTube and he's pretty awesome. And then that kid's like the wrong generation kid. He's like, man, if I was just born 20 years earlier, like that, I feel like that was
He's an old soul already.
Yeah, I'm an old soul. You're like, dude, you're 7. What are you talking about?
Right. For the little kid who's like, you know, I just like the way they played basketball in the 80s.
It was more pure.
She's like 3 years old. And then you look at the mom and the mom's like, I didn't tell her to say that.
Number 2 for me is the guy or gal who fills out a scorecard at a baseball game, which is my mom. My mom does this. if you go to a Chicago Cubs game with my mother, she will buy the official scorecard and she will fill it out as though she's the scorekeeper, as though at the end of the game, someone in the press box is going to be like, damn it, did anybody take notes? Did anybody have? And then my mom's like, got it right here. Got it right here. I have it all. Chris Bryant, that was a triple in the gap right there. I saw, I wrote it down. You can see right there. It was a 2-1 count in the
Does she
bottom of the
keep them?
sixth. That's a great. I think she's kept some of them through the years. She doesn't keep all, but she'll watch every single pitch and mark it. And she taught me how to do it too, because there's like an art to filling those things
Yeah.
out. It's like you got to kind of.
I don't know how to do it.
The language, and this was a big deal. Like the old heads of baseball that love doing that. When the extra innings rule was put in place, where guys start on second in the extra innings. I remember this being like a point of contention for people. Is like, when I fill out my scorecard, what do I do? How did that guy get to second? How did he get to second? We have to make sense of this.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. So those people that do that, the old folks at the ballpark that are tracking every pitch, and I love those. It takes me back to that's baseball to me.
That's baseball.
Like you see that, you're like, that is baseball.
It actually does. I saw a friend on Instagram on her story posted a picture of filling out a scorecard, and I immediately just felt like great. Yeah. It was like this warm, lovely feel. I was like, oh, sports. My number one mark is the old lady in a wheelchair decked out in vintage gear that she got when it was new. It's the grandmas. That's my number one. I love them. The only thing that makes me feel better than watching someone fill out a scorecard is like the lady who's there and who's been there, and
she knows everything, and you kind of think she's like a cute little throw into the fan base, but then you like actually talk to her, and she's like, she knows everything, and she remembers everything.
Or she stands up out of her wheelchair and bleep this out. She's like, you, ref. And you're like, whoa.
Okay. One thing I found, this is definitely just anecdotal, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. Mm-hmm. I've found that women who have been sports fans for a long time, again, very anecdotal. I'm not saying this is the case. I'm curious your perspective. Mm-hmm. It feels like sometimes women will latch on to like one team. So if you're from, say, like a Chicago, mm-hmm. and you fast forward, you're not like in my experience, women aren't necessarily the older women aren't necessarily fans of the Bears and the Bulls and the Cubs and the Blackhawks, and I love them all, and I just love all my Chicago teams. There's something that happens at some point where they like, I love the Cubs, and I just like, I'm all in on the Cubs. I like the Bears. I mean, I'll watch the Bears, but like the Cubs are my team. Yeah. And I feel like that happens. I'm basing this off of my grandparents. I'm basing this off of my mother. It feels like they just kind of pick one team and then they go all in on that team, and they know everything about that team.
I feel like that's not wrong. I feel like I know more older men who are sort of like city team, like across spectrums, and then more women who, and it's not to say that the men know more. It's like they'll know less about all of the teams, but they'll know all of them. And then the old lady is just like, can tell you every single thing about the football or the yeah, actually.
So
listener, write in and tell us if you think that this is like
it might be stupid.
It's probably a generalization, but like it feels like I feel like I know what you're talking about.
What are you gonna lock in on? Are you a Patriots or a Red Sox girl?
I was just trying to think about that. I feel like maybe this career like screwed me over for any chance of doing that, but it'll be the Red Sox.
Yeah, I
say that, but it's gonna be baseball.
It depends on how good Mac Jones is, I guess.
Oh God.
So it'll be the Red Sox. So as you said, it'll be.
Okay, Mr. Justin Fields. I'm not even a Bears fan, but now I am.
Wow. I am. My number one is just the innocent, enthusiastic kid that's not jaded yet about sports and goes to the game. He's probably 7, 6, whatever, and does not boo the other team. He has no idea what Kemba Walker is making. He has no idea what the contracts, what their trade rumors are. He has no idea what this guy, that his favorite player, tweeted the other night and his stance on social issues or anything else. He's just like, every single guy that's wearing the jersey of the team I like is my superhero, and I love you so much, and you're the best, and I'm gonna make a sign that says that, and I'm gonna hold it up, and I'm gonna cheer for these guys. And when we lose in the car ride home, and I'm gonna ask my dad, why did that happen? How did that happen? Like, I love our guys. Like, Dad, do you think they're sad? Do you think they're sad? Those kids are awesome. And then something happens along the way and we all get bitter and jaded and we're like, all right.
You know what those kids are?
What?
They're still ever hopeful. They are still
the ever hopeful kids. There it is.
Oh, they don't know capitalism exists.
Yeah.
Also, I heard you say recently on Pardon My Take that you don't know if you're a communist yet.
Oh,
you got to do more research.
I got to do more research.
And I appreciated that because I was like, that is the representation I want for this podcast, which is that we spew facts that we do not know, but when it's an important issue, we do the research.
I am definitely whatever is in vogue. I am that.
I know, and I like that you said that, but you were also going to research Taiwan or something. So shout out.
I'm also like a week away from having done all the research on any issue that you want me to have a thought on. I'm like, I'm very close.
I'm very close to finish the research.
Very close. Very close, Charlotte. I'll issue my statement.
Hey pals, thanks for watching the People Sports Podcast YouTube channel. For more of mine and Mark's very weird rabbit holes, stick around, watch more. You can subscribe, smash that subscribe button. You know you want to. We're going to give you all the weird stuff we possibly can.